Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Chapter 10.
Dongzu is gone, but the
Yeah.
power void, it's immediate and pretty brutal.
Yeah, his former guys, Li Ju and Guo Si, they basically step right up.
Right. And their first thought is pretty radical, isn't it? They plan to just, well, kill Emperor Xian.
Get rid of the figurehead entirely.
But then their buddies, Zhang Ji and Fan Chao, they step in and say, hold on. They advise against it. What was the thinking there? Why keep the emperor alive?
Well, it's fascinating, actually. It's about strategy, long-term thinking versus just, immediate power grab.
Right.
Killing the emperor, that would likely unite all the other lords against them instantly. A clear usurpation.
Right. Makes sense. Too provocative.
Exactly. But keeping him, holding him as a puppet, that gives them a kind of legitimacy, or at least the appearance of it.
Okay, so they can rule through him.
Precisely. They can consolidate their own power, build their forces, all under the guise of, serving the imperial house. It buys them time and avoids making them target number one right away.
Yeah.
Subtle control versus just brute force.
And it really seemed to work for them, at least initially. There's this scene, right? Emperor Xian confronts them from the palace, basically asking, why are your armies still here?
Yeah, and their response is incredibly bold.
Yeah, totally brazen. They basically say, well, we served the emperor, fought the rebels, but we haven't gotten our proper titles yet, so we can't really leave.
Putting him completely on the spot, under duress.
And he caves. He has to grant them all these massive titles. Li Ju becomes General of Chariots and Cavalry, Marquis of Chang, Director of Retainers, Acting Imperial Commissioner.
Basically running the show. And Guo Si gets similar high ranks. General of the Rear, Marquis of Mayang, also Imperial Commissioner.
They're effectively the government now. And the lieutenants get rewards too. Fan Chao, Zhang Ji, they become generals and marquises. Li Meng, Wang Feng, they're made colonels.
Solidifying their network.
Yeah.
Everyone who helped them gets a piece of the pie, ensuring loyalty, at least for a while.
Okay, so they've got the emperor handled. But let's switch back to Dongzuo for a second. There's this really strange detail about his burial.
Oh yeah, that part is wild.
They actually try to give him a royal funeral. They find his pieces, reconstruct the body with fragrant wood, and plan this big ceremony at Mat.
It's almost like they're trying to legitimize him even after death.
But then
Heaven, or maybe just some really bad weather, seems to step in. It's quite striking.
3 times they try to bury him, right? And each time.
Yeah, massive thunderstorms, like severe ones. Lightning hits the coffin, shatters it, scatters the remains.
It happens again and again.
Until there's basically nothing left to bury. The elements just destroy the body. It's depicted as this powerful symbol, divine anger. Like the cosmos itself is rejecting Dongzio.
Wow. Talk about a bad omen. So Dongzio is literally scattered to the winds, and back in Changyin, Li Ju and Guo Si are now firmly in charge.
And their rule is not pleasant.
Not at all. It's described as really oppressive, cruelty towards the people, spies everywhere, especially around Emperor Xian. He's basically their prisoner.
Total control, or so they think. They even try a PR move, appointing Zhu Jun, who had some respect, as Grand Coachman to co-manage court affairs, trying to gain a bit of public favor.
But even with all that power, like you said, it's shaky, isn't it? How come?
Because power like that, built on fear and recent betrayal, it's always fragile. There's internal resentment brewing, and external threats are never far away in this period.
Right. Loyalty is flexible.
Extremely. And sure enough, threats start popping up almost immediately, both from outside and crucially from within.
You can say that again. So news hits them. Ma Teng, governor of Jiliang, and Han Sui, the governor of Bingzhou. That title, assassin, sounds pretty tough.
It reflected the region's military nature, yeah. Formidable guys.
And they're leading, over 100,000 troops towards Shenzhen, claiming they're coming to punish the rebels, meaning Li Ju and Guo Si.
A massive army, a direct challenge.
But here's the twist Li Ju and Guo Si don't know about yet. Ma Teng and Han Sui aren't just acting alone.
No, there's an inside job happening, a conspiracy.
Exactly. They've secretly teamed up with people right inside the palace. Shizong Mayu, Jinan Ye, Dafuzong Shao, Zhu Zhongleng, Jiang Lufan. These guys are working against Li Ju and Guo Si from within.
And they've managed to get secret titles from Emperor Shan for Ma Teng and Han Sui.
Yeah, basically giving them the emperor's secret blessing to attack the capital and take down the guys currently controlling him. It's incredibly risky, but brilliant.
A classic pincer movement, politically and militarily. External force combined with internal betrayal.
So when Li Ju and Guo Si get wind of this huge army marching towards them, they call a council, themselves Zhang Ji Fan Chao. And their strategist, Jieshu, is there.
GSU, a key figure, always cautious, always thinking several steps ahead.
And what does he advise?
He suggests playing it safe, a defensive strategy.
Yeah.
Dig deep ditches, build high walls, basically hunker down and wait.
For how long?
He says about 100 days. His calculation is that Martang and Han Sui's army, coming from far away, will run out of supplies.
Ah, logistics. The unglamorous side of war.
But often the deciding factor. Jishu figures, let them exhaust themselves, then when they're forced to retreat, pursue and crush them. Smart, patient strategy.
But not everyone agrees.
No. You've got Li Meng and Wang Feng, the colonels they just promoted.
Right, and they think Jieshu's plan is what, cowardly.
Pretty much. They scoff at it. They're itching for a fight, for glory. They demand troops, 10,000 elite soldiers for a direct attack.
And they're pretty confident.
Overconfident. They literally bet their heads on victory. If we don't win, take our heads.
Not bold or foolish.
It really highlights that tension, doesn't it? Jieshu's careful calculation versus their sheer hubris, ego versus strategy, often a fatal mix in these stories.
So Linju and Guosi may be swayed by the confidence or maybe wanting a quick victory. They actually give them the troops.
They do. 15,000 soldiers, actually. More than they asked for. Li Meng and Wang Feng march out, positioning themselves about 280 leagues from Chang,
Meanwhile, Zhang Ji and Fan Chao are sent to guard Zuzi Mountain, a strategic pass.
setting the stage for the confrontation.
And here's where it gets really interesting. We meet Ma Chao, Ma Teng's son.
Ma Chao.
Yeah.
Legend in the making.
He's only 17, but the description. Face like jade, eyes like shooting stars, tiger body, ape arms, leopard belly, wolf waist, wielding a spear, riding a fine horse. Sounds incredible.
And incredibly brave. He's about to make a name for himself.
Big time. Wang Fang, remember him? The guy who bet his head. He apparently underestimates this young warrior, charges right at him.
Big mistake.
Huge. Ma Chao handles him easily, spears him off his horse in just a few passes. Wang Fang is out.
Just like that. One down.
Then Li Meng comes after Ma Chao. But Ma Chao shows he's not just strong, he's smart.
Tactical mind, even at 17.
He pretends not to notice Li Meng closing in, lets him get near. Li Meng lunges with his spear,
And Ma Chao.
dodges it, and then with those ape arms, he just reaches out and physically grabs Li Meng, pulling him right off his horse, effortlessly.
Incredible strength and agility. Captures him alive.
And then Ma Teng, his father, has Li Meng promptly beheaded.
So much for their guaranteed victory. Both heads lost, just as Jieshu implicitly warned.
Ma Chao's debut is stunning. It's not just brute force, like you said. It's skill, bravery, and cunning.
Absolutely. It immediately marks him as a major player, someone to be reckoned with. This victory sends shockwaves. A new, dangerous force has arrived.
You bet. So the news of Li Meng and Wang Feng's swift defeat, that must have hit Li Ju and Guosi hard.
Oh, definitely. Suddenly, Jieshu's cautious advice looks pretty good, doesn't it?
I'll say, they immediately switch gears. Okay, defensive strategy it is. High walls, deep ditches. They refuse to come out and fight.
They hunker down, just as Jieshu originally suggested.
And guess what happens?
Let me guess. The West Liang army starts running low on supplies.
Exactly. In less than 2 months, just like Jieshu predicted, their supply lines are stretched thin.
Patience and defense pay off.
But then comes the other hammer blow, that internal conspiracy.
The palace insiders, Ma Yu and the others.
Right. Ma Yu's own servant rats them out, spills the beans to Li Ju and Guosi about the whole plot, the secret titles, everything.
Oof. That's devastating for Ma Teng and Han Su's plans.
And absolutely brutal for the conspirators. Li Ju and Guosi show no mercy. Ma Yu, Lu Fan, Zhang Shao,
Their entire families.
wiped out, executed, their heads put on display at the city gate as a warning.
Vicious. But sends a clear message. Internal dissent will not be tolerated.
So with the conspiracy exposed and their supplies gone, Ma Teng and Han Sui have no choice. They have to retreat.
Their gamble failed. Time to cut their losses.
But Li Ju and Guosi aren't just letting them walk away. They see weakness. They send Zhang Ji after Ma
Who
Teng.
probably runs into Ma Chao again.
Yep. Ma Chao fights fiercely, drives Zhang Ji back. Ma Teng gets away thanks to his son.
Ma Chao proving his worth again.
And Fan Chao is sent after Han Sui. And this leads to a really unexpected moment.
Okay. What happens?
Fan Chao catches up to Han Sui near a place called Chengkang. He's got his orders: pursue, destroy.
Standard procedure for retreating enemies.
But Han Sui calls out to him. He says something like, "Hey, we're fellow countrymen from the same region. He appeals to Fanchao as a fellow native.
Playing the hometown card.
And he pleads his case, saying he didn't come to fight Fanchao personally. He came for the good of the country to deal with the tyrants.
Trying to connect on a different level,
Yeah.
beyond just orders.
And Fanchao listens. He's got Han Sui cornered, could easily finish him. But hearing that appeal, that reminder of their shared roots,
He lets him go.
he just turns his horse around, lets Han Sui escape, totally defies his orders.
Wow. That's significant. An act of mercy. Or maybe complex loyalty. Shared identity trumping military duty in that moment.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even amidst all this brutality and power struggle, these personal connections, these individual choices based on something other than pure strategy can just completely change the outcome.
Absolutely. It shows that history isn't just about armies and emperors. It's shaped by these individual moments, these unexpected flashes of, well, humanity, maybe. Li Ju and Guo Si, they've just won against the Western Liang forces, right? You'd think things would calm down, but no. This is where it gets really interesting. Li Ju's nephew, Li Mibi, comes to him and says, basically, hey, Fanchao let Han Sui escape. Now, it's a big deal, strategically speaking. Letting an enemy leader get away, even if it wasn't on purpose. What's the usual way to handle something like that back then? Especially when you're trying to cement your power.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. Usually you might expect another fight, maybe a direct challenge. But what's fascinating here is the advice from Jie Shu. He was their very pragmatic advisor. Instead of more fighting, Jie Shu says something pretty chilling. He says, look, throw a big party, a victory banquet, invite Fanchao, and then right in the middle of the celebration, execute him.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't just about getting rid of Fanchao. It was a performance. A very public, brutal lesson for everyone else there about loyalty, or maybe about the consequences of perceived disloyalty.
And that's exactly what they do. Fanchao shows up, probably expecting praise, and bam, he's beheaded right there at the feast. You can just imagine the scene. Zhang Ji, another general, is so scared he throws himself on the floor. But Li Ju, he plays it smooth. He pulls Zhang Ji up, calls him a confidant, and even gives him Fanchao soldiers. It's just incredibly manipulative.
Yeah.
And effective, I suppose.
Totally effective. It's pure power consolidation through fear. He basically says, cross me or even just slip up, and this is what happens. Swift, public, terrifying. It set the standard right there. Unquestioning obedience was the only safe path. And, you know, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Jie Shu wasn't just about these ruthless moves. He was also telling Li Ju and Guo Si, look, you need to calm things down with the regular people, bring in smart advisors, stabilize the court. His advice was also about rebuilding, not just tearing things down. And actually, the court did see like a slight improvement because of it, even though it was still pretty weak.
Right, so a little bit of stability, maybe. But then, bang, another huge problem. The Green Province Yellow Turbans. We're talking hundreds of thousands of them, apparently. Just rampaging, looting everywhere, chaos all over again. They needed someone to handle this, and fast.
Yeah, the court, even being weak and full of its own drama, knew this was serious. They needed a fixer, someone with a real army, real skill, who could actually, get the job done against such a massive force.
And that's when Zhu Jun, the Grand Minister of Ceremonies, steps up. He tells Li Ju and Guo Si, there's one guy who can crush these rebels. Cao Cao. At this time, Cao Cao is administrator of Dong Commandery. And he's already got a reputation, right? He has a significant army.
Oh, yeah. Li Ju and Guo Si were apparently overjoyed, which shows you how respected Cao Cao's military ability already was. They immediately sent out an imperial order. Cao Cao team up with Bao Xin, who was chancellor of Jibei, and go deal with these yellow turbans. Even these guys, who were basically his rivals, saw him as the best bet for this huge problem.
And Cao Cao delivers,
Yeah.
big time. The campaign is fast. He and Bao Xin hit the rebels at Shuyang. Sadly, Bao Xin actually gets killed in the fighting. But Cao Cao keeps pushing. He chases the rebels to Jubei. And that's where tens of thousands of them just surrender. But what he does next, that's the really smart part.
Absolutely ingenious. It's multi-level thinking. He takes those surrendered rebels
Yeah.
and uses them as his vanguard, his
Right.
front line. Yes. So imagine you're another group of rebels and you see this huge force coming, led by guys who are just like you yesterday. It apparently caused mass surrenders wherever he went. He turned this massive potential problem, all these surrendered fighters, into an immediate weapon.
That's incredible, the scale of it, too. The text says, in just over 100 days, he gets 300,000 surrendered soldiers, plus over 1 million civilians?
Exactly. And what's really fascinating here is what he does then. He picks the best of the soldiers, forms this elite unit called the King Zhu soldiers,
Yeah.
his loyal force, but the rest, The civilians and maybe less suitable soldiers, he sends them back to farming.
Ah, so he boosts his army and pacifies the region, gets the fields working again.
Precisely. It's brilliant. Strengthens his military, calms the area down, makes him look like a capable leader, not just a warlord. His reputation just skyrockets.
And then he gets the official promotion, General who guards the East. A big step up. He's becoming a major player now. But like you said, it wasn't just about the fighting for Cao Cao. He knew he needed smart people too.
Right.
So he shifts focus to Yanzu and starts actively recruiting wise and able individuals. Who was he looking for? It wasn't just generals, right?
No, definitely not. And this is super important for his long-term success. He's building the foundation. He needs strategists, advisors, administrators, people who can help him actually govern the land he's taking, plan the next moves. It shows he's thinking bigger than just battles. He's building a state, essentially.
And the first big name he gets is Sun Yu, right, from Yuan Shao's camp.
Yes, Sun Yu, a brilliant strategist. Apparently Yuan Shao wasn't using him well, or Sun Yu saw more potential with Cao Cao. Cao Cao was thrilled. He famously calls him my Zifang, comparing him to Zhang Liang, the legendary Han Dynasty strategist.
Well,
that's high praise.
Huge praise. And he makes him military advisor straight away.
Right, and Sun Yu immediately starts bringing people in. It becomes this amazing network effect.
He brings in his nephew first, Sun Yu, another scholar, military instructor.
Exactly. And this wasn't just random hiring. It's building trust through connections. Someone vouches for the next person. It's a smart way to build a loyal and competent inner circle, especially when things are so unstable. Less risk of spies or betrayal, you know?
Makes sense. So the network keeps growing. Sun Yu recommends Cheng Yu.
Yeah, finds him reading in the mountains, apparently. Bit of a hermit, maybe, but brilliant. Cao Cao brings him right in.
And then Cheng Yu suggests Guo Jia.
Right, who Sun Yu then remembers too. And Guo Jia is another sharp military mind. They start talking big picture stuff, affairs of the world.
And Guo Jia brings in Liu Ye, who's actually descended from an emperor.
A descendant of Emperor Guangwu, yeah. It's not just about talent. That connection adds a layer of legitimacy. It links Cao Cao, even indirectly, to the imperial line. Smart political move, too.
Okay, so Liu Ye recommends Man Chong and Lu Qian. Cao Cao knew them already.
Apparently so. He brings them in as army supervisors. Seems like he needed people for the practical running of the army, too.
And then they recommend Mao Ji, also an army supervisor. It's like a chain reaction of talent acquisition.
It really is. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you see the power of networks. One good person leads to another and another. That's how you build a formidable team quickly.
Okay, so that's the brain trust building up. But he needed muscle too, right?
Oh, yeah. He brought in Yujin, skilled with a bow, good on horseback, made him officer for reviewing troops, sort of mid-level command, quality control for the soldiers, maybe?
And then Dian Wei, this guy sounds incredible, introduced by Yu Hudun.
Yeah, Zhu Dun, one of Cao's most trusted guys. He brings Dan Wei forward, says this man has extraordinary courage and strength.
And Dian Wei had a bit of a past, didn't he? Killed dozens of men in some dispute.
That's the story. Worked for Zhang Miao, had a fight, killed a bunch of people, fled.
Yeah.
Shehu Dun apparently spotted him chasing a tiger across a ravine.
Chasing a tiger.
You know,
Yeah.
as one does. But seriously, the stories about him are wild.
Well, like the weapons.
Mm.
2 iron halberds, 80 caddies.
Something like that, yeah. 80 Han Dynasty caddies is roughly 40 kilograms. And the text says he wielded them as if flying, just pure, raw strength.
And there's that other story about the banner.
Right. A huge banner in the camp, strong wind hits it, soldiers are struggling to keep it from falling over. Dian Wei just gets off his horse, waves everyone else away, grabs the flagpole with one hand, and just stands there. Rock solid in the wind. Didn't budge.
That's almost mythical strength.
Exactly the kind of larger-than-life figure you want for your personal bodyguard. Right?
No kidding. And Cao sees this and says,
He says this is the ancient Eli, comparing him to some legendary strongman from ages past.
and immediately makes him commander of the 10 Guard, plus gifts, horse.
Yep. Brocade robe, fine horse, puts him right by his side. Maximum trust, maximum security.
Cao. He decides, right, to send his Taishan prefect, Ying Shao, over to Longye Commandery to bring back his father, Cao Song, who'd been living there kind of out of the way in seclusion. Now, this wasn't just Cao Song hopping in a cart. We're talking his younger brother, Cao Dai, over 40 family members, more than 100 attendants and like 100 carriages, all heading towards Yanzu. That sounds, I mean, like a massive procession, very visible, maybe even vulnerable.
Oh, absolutely. That's a key point. It's this huge, wealthy group moving through potentially unstable territory. It screams target in an era like this, you know? A lot of instability, former rebels, bandits.
All right, so as they're traveling, they pass through Zuzu. And here they get this seemingly warm welcome from Tao Qian, the prefect there. He's also known as Gongzu. The text describes him as warm, sincere, someone who actually wanted to be friends with Cao Cao. So he sees this as a chance, right? He hosts Cao Song, treats him with respect, throws a big banquet for 2 days, even personally walks him out of the city. Seems like he's really going the extra mile. And then, as this final gesture, Tao Qian assigns Commandant Zhang Kai with 500 soldiers to protect Cao Song's group.
Yeah, on the surface, it's all very proper. A gesture of goodwill, alliance building maybe, but the dramatic irony is just dripping here, isn't it?
Totally, because this act meant for safety.
Becomes the very instrument of disaster. It's fascinating and tragic how good intentions can be completely twisted by the actions of someone you trust, or someone you think you can trust.
And it all goes wrong pretty quickly. Cao Song's party, they reach the area between Hua and Fei. It's described as late summer turning into early autumn. And then, bam, a sudden huge rainstorm hits, forces them to take shelter. They find an old temple nearby. And this is the moment. Inside the temple, we find out who Zhang Kai really is. He's revealed to be a former Yellow Turban remnant.
Right, and that's crucial context. The Yellow Turbans were this massive peasant rebellion, largely crushed, but remnants were everywhere, often desperate, operating outside the usual loyalties.
Exactly. And Zhang Kai starts talking conspiratorially with his officers, his headmen, basically saying, look, serving Tao Qian, there's nothing in it for us. We're getting nowhere.
There's a sense of disillusionment, maybe greed. They see this opportunity at all that wealth right in front of them.
And Zhang Kai lays out this absolutely horrifying plan. Tonight, he says, we murder Cao Song's entire family, take all their stuff, and then we bolt for the mountains, become bandits. And the text says, all his men just agreed. Like that.
It speaks volumes about the chaos of the time, doesn't it? And maybe the kind of men Zhang Kai surrounded himself with. Was it just pure evil? Or, you know, a symptom of the era's brutality where survival or just greed trumped everything else? Probably a mix.
The attack is described as just horrific.
Yeah.
Shouts suddenly erupt inside the temple. Cao De, Cao Song's brother, tries to fight back, but he's killed almost immediately. Cao Song himself, with a concubine, tries to escape over a wall, but the text mentions she was too heavy, they couldn't make it. In desperation, they hide in a toilet, which is just awful to imagine. But the soldiers find them, and they're both slaughtered right there. Ying Xiao, the prefect Cao Cao sent, he somehow gets away, escapes, makes it to Yuanshao.
A very narrow escape. But for Cao Song's family, it's complete annihilation.
Yeah, the text says Zhang Kai and his men killed the entire family.
Yeah.
Every single one. Then they took all the valuables, set the temple on fire to destroy the evidence, I guess, and fled with the 500 soldiers towards Wenan. Just vanished.
The ruthlessness is just staggering, total destruction. And the source even adds a poem, sort of reflecting on this as almost karmic payback for Cao Cao's own past ruthless actions. It links this specific horror to a bigger cycle of violence.
So eventually, news gets back to Cao Cao. Some escaping soldiers bring him the word. And his reaction, the source says he just collapses weeping, utterly devastated. But that grief turns instantly to rage. He immediately blames Tao Qian. This is Tao Qian allowed this murder. And he vows what's called unshared hatred, basically absolute vengeance. He promises to completely cleanse Zuzu, wipe it out.
And you have to understand the cultural context here. Filial piety, devotion to your parents was paramount. An attack on your father, that demanded revenge, extreme revenge. This moment really defines Cao Cao, doesn't it? It shows this capacity for just total, unwavering retaliation.
He doesn't waste any time. Starts prepping the army immediately. He leaves Sun Yu and Cheng Yu behind with about 30,000 troops to guard his core territory, those 3 counties. But the main force, he leads them himself. With Shao Dun, Yu Jin, Dina Wei out front as the vanguards, marching straight for Zuzu. And this is where it gets incredibly dark. He issues an order, a direct command to his army. When you take any city in Zuzu, slaughter everyone, all civilians, to avenge my father.
That is chilling. It's one thing to fight an army, but a preemptive order for mass civilian slaughter. It really raises huge ethical questions, doesn't it? How does personal grief justify that level of devastation against innocent people?
It's a terrifying command, and it shows just how consumed by vengeance he is.
Absolutely. It moves beyond military strategy into something else entirely. Pure destructive rage given official sanction.
So News of this impending invasion and probably the horrific order starts to spread, and the first person who tries to step in is Bian Reng. He's the prefect of Zhujiang and apparently a friend of Tao Qian. He hears Zhu is in trouble and decides to help, brings 5,000 soldiers. Cao Cao hears about this, furious, orders Xia Hudan, intercept him, kill him.
Right. No allies allowed for the enemy. It shows how absolute Cao Cao's focus is. If you're helping Tao Qin, you're against me and you will be destroyed. Simple as that.
Then another figure tries to intervene, Chen Gong. He's a registrar from Dong Commandery, also knows Tao Qian. And importantly, he knows Cao Cao. He actually served Cao Cao before, then left him. When Chen Gong hears about the order to slaughter civilians, he's horrified. He rides out immediately to try and talk to Cao Cao. He makes a really strong case, doesn't he? He basically says, look, Tao Qian is a good man, maybe naive, but fundamentally decent. This wasn't his fault. It was Yang Kai, that traitor, killing innocent people. That's wrong. It's unjust. It brings bad fortune. He pleads with Cao Cao to rethink this.
It's the voice of reason, of morality, trying to break through this wall of rage. But you see the clash so clearly here, don't you? Rational argument versus this deeply personal, burning need for vengeance.
And Cao Cao just throws it back in his face. He gets angry at Chen Gong. Reminds him, you deserted me once before. Basically tells him to get lost. Says nothing, absolutely nothing, will stop him from getting his revenge for his father.
The rejection is total. It's a powerful moment showing how revenge can just shatter everything, even past loyalties or logical arguments.
Chen Gong sees it's hopeless. He leaves, completely disillusioned, and decides to go join another figure, Zheng Miao.
Yeah, that break is significant. It shows the cost of Cao Cao's path, alienating even those who might have once been allies or advisors.
Meanwhile, Cao Cao's army is on the move towards Zuzhu, and they are following that terrible order. The text says they killed people everywhere they went, even dug up graves, just spreading terror and destruction across the land.
Just imagine the sheer horror for the people living there. It's not just war, it's unchecked brutality. Psychological terror on a massive scale.
Back in Zuzhu City, Tao Qian is beside himself. He's weeping, looking up at the sky, saying he must have sinned against heaven to bring this suffering down on his people. He feels responsible. And then, in a council with his officials, he suggests something extraordinary. He says, let me bind myself. I'll go out and surrender to Cao Cao. Maybe that will save my people.
What a contrast in leadership, right? You have Cao Cao demanding mass slaughter for personal revenge, and Tao Qian offering himself up, willing to sacrifice his own life to protect his citizens. It highlights two vastly different approaches.
So the two armies finally face each other outside Zuzhu. Cao makes a point of appearing in white mourning clothes. His army flies two big white banners, and written on them, revenge and avenge hatred. Very clear message. Tao Qian comes out, tries to explain himself, says he's innocent, bows respectfully, but Cao Cao just launches into this furious condemnation, blames him completely, and immediately orders Xia Hudan to charge. Tao Qian's general, Cao Bao, rides out to meet the charge. And then suddenly this bizarre thing happens. A huge wind kicks up, dust and sand everywhere. It's so chaotic that both armies are forced to pull back. A kind of freak weather event saves them for a moment. And this is where we leave it, right on the edge. Tao Qian is still ready to surrender himself, but just as he's about to, someone else steps forward. An unnamed person. And this person says, wait, I have a plan. A small strategy, they call it. A strategy they claim that will make Cao Cao die without a burial place. And everyone is stunned.
It's such a cliffhanger, isn't it? Just when things seem utterly bleak, totally hopeless for Zuzhu, this unexpected figure emerges. It really underscores that in these chaotic times, things can pivot so fast. An unknown person with a bold claim. Who knows what happens next?